interested in an ultra precision rifle for NRL 22 or similar precision shooting, you have to see what's in this box. Gavin Gu here from UltimateReloader.com. I'm back with Travis Fox. Travis, thanks for joining us again.
Thanks for having me, Gavin.
I am super excited about the content that we have related to rimfire here. We've got stuff in the works, everything from basic NRL 22 style rifles to what we've got here. This is the Anschutz 1710 competition. This is at the highest level of premium in terms of precision rifle for these kinds of games.
This is going to be out of the park on this one. You got 2-stage triggers. This is going to be a shooter for sure.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to get this out of the box. We're going to put it together. This has got the XLR Element chassis. This is like totally premium stuff. You've seen the Element here recently on the channel. We're going to put an Athlon Chronos scope on it. We're going to get this baby dialed in. We're going to take it to the bench, do some shooting there. We're going to do some positional shooting. Lots to cover. We're going to put it on the trigger scan. We're going to look down the bore. All of these end-to-end test scenarios that we cover when we do a gun review here on Ultimate Reloader. So without further ado, we're going to get this out of the box.
Let's get this going.
Yeah, that looks really nice. Okay. This is everything that was in the box. What do we got, Travis?
XLR Element chassis, integrated level.
I absolutely love the integrated ARC rail.
Very
love
nice.
it. This has got the integral bubble level as well, which is just another nice feature to have.
Yep. Then we go to that. We go to the barreled action here, threaded on the end for use your suppressor. 2-stage trigger, one of my favorites.
Can I see that? I gotta see this. So this is my first Anschutz rifle. You know, I visited the facility. I happened to outshoot some of the people that were there, so I feel pretty good about that. That group was insane. That group was literally insane, and to know that I've got the same DNA here in the shop, this is exciting.
So maybe Gavin and I, we're going to find out which one of us can shoot this rifle better.
I think that's a pretty good idea. Yeah, love it.
I bet this rifle probably will outshoot any of us here.
That could be, and that's why we're going to the bench with it.
Yep. Bolt, cocking indicator. Has a Harris bipod adapter to slide into the arc rail.
Like a swivel stud type deal.
10-round mag. We got some action screws. What do we got there?
This is all of our printed materials. So we have, this is a CD that has, I believe, the owner's manual on it, some warning stuff. And this is kind of cool. This is their quality control booklet that has a test group that they fired at the factory.
It's interesting. One of the Anschutz I have has the actual target that was shot. Now they're getting the electronic targets.
Yep. And you know and I know that with the right ammunition, this rifle could do even better, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Lot to lot, there's differences. It's just, it's a real thing to get these results. And I'm looking forward to seeing just how good we can do with it.
It's going to be pretty exciting to see what we can come up with this rifle. It's going to be fun to shoot. We're going to just put it through its paces and see what it does.
Okay, so next, we're going to put it together. So, Anschutz lists the torque spec for these barreled actions at 22 to 35 inch-pounds. We've got this Wheeler Engineering torque screwdriver set to 25. Seems like a good value. These use a 4mm hex key, so we've got the 4mm tip on this guy, and you've got to love the T-handle as well for getting stuff up to the point where you need precise torque. I don't know about you, Travis, but I like to start with finger tight on each and just kind of go back and forth a couple times.
Yep.
Action screw torque is one of these things that a lot of people fiddle with, and for good reason, because it can make a difference.
It can make a difference in accuracy. I've seen it change some rifles for sure. The trigger on these Anschutz are just incredibly adjustable. You can adjust length where the trigger sets on here. They're just you can personalize them to your...
Wow, that is cool, the length of pull adjustment, essentially. Okay, 25 inch-pounds.
Pretty beautiful.
Yeah. Why don't you throw the bolt in? I want to give it a cycle and see how the rifle feels. Now, your daughter had shot biathlon, right, with an Anschutz rifle?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And is that the same barreled action, or is that a different
No, it's
design?
different.
Okay.
Different. What she was shooting was a Fortner action,
Okay.
straight pullback.
Oh, right.
We can show that.
Yeah,
little clip
definitely.
maybe.
How does it feel?
Feels excellent.
Can I try it?
Absolutely.
Okay. I really like that spherical. Oh, yeah. Wow. That is super slick. Okay, so what do you think about us taking the DIP 25 MOI rail, getting that on there, and then throwing the Coronis on?
Let's do it.
Well, look at that.
It's a beauty, huh?
Oh, yeah. This thing is looking good. Let's walk through the scope install.
Scope install. The action comes pre-drilled and tapped. They have cap screws in there. We took those out. We then slid on the DIP rail, slides on to the dovetail that they have machined into the receiver here. And then we fixated those using a little bit of blue Loctite. Torqued those down to spec. Got it on there. Put the Coronis on. We took the time to level the rifle. And then we leveled the scope to the rifle.
Yeah, and it's been interesting. We've been looking lately at the bottom reference surface on the scope versus the top of the top turret cap there, and it's just the top here is not very accurate. So I noticed that you had the parallel out there. In fact, I helped for a while with that. That's a good way to get her leveled, get everything torqued down really evenly. I can't wait to try out the Coronis on this rifle. I think it's going to be phenomenal.
I think this is a great combination. It's going to be super fun. The rail, was that a 25 MOA?
Yeah, that's a 25 MOA.
Yep. Yeah, this will be interesting. We're going to try and see how far we can reach with this thing at some point in time once we get through all the sighting in process and getting it dialed in, and then we're going to start seeing what this thing does at distance.
Yeah, so here's what I'm thinking. We've already talked about some of the specs. Why don't we briefly summarize the overall specs for this particular rifle? I think we should look down the bore with the test long Borescope. And finally, the last thing before taking it to the range. I know you're itching on this one. Let's put it on the trigger scan.
Yep.
And maybe take a look at a couple different trigger pull weight adjustments and do some of those graphs, because the trigger is definitely one of the real high points of this rifle.
Absolutely.
And then we'll be off and running. Okay, so this is chambered in 22 long rifle. It's got a 20-inch stainless barrel, threaded half 28, which is awesome, because if you have rimfire muzzle accessories, whoosh, it's going to screw right on. It comes with a really nice thread protector. You got to love the German meticulous details on the machining and all that kind of stuff. That rail, the dovetail's 11 mil. That is right on the action. And this is the new 5119 two-stage trigger that's adjustable from 4 ounces to 7.5 ounces.
It's a light trigger.
And 10-round magazine, and of course the XLR element chassis. So why don't we get out that test long Borescope, and we'll see what the innards look like.
Absolutely. There we go. We're going to enter the chamber in the depths of some German rifling.
Hey, love it. Got the test long Borescope hooked up to our Windows 10 laptop.
There's
see
our
what
chamber.
we see.
Here's the start of our rifling.
Yep.
Looking pretty.
I haven't looked at as many rimfire bores as I have center fire bores, so this is still new territory for me. It's pretty clean.
Yep.
Then I was noticing we've got a nice counterbore here when we get down to the end.
We're going to show that counterbore. It's kind of this has got quite a counterbore on it.
You can see the mirror rotating a little bit as it makes its way down the rifling. There we go.
Okay, and here's the end of the rifling.
Yep.
And it's got the counterbore all the way out here. Was that 11 millimeters? Is that correct?
I'm not sure.
Something like that. Out into the shop. Cool.
And there is the Borescope footage. So here's what I think we do next is let's get the trigger scan. Let's put it on there. We know we have a different adjustment range that we can work with there.
Yeah.
Let's see a couple different ranges, see how the trigger looks.
Yeah, definitely. Let's do it.
All right. So here we have the Trigger Scan TS11. This is the world's most advanced trigger profiling device. What we get is a force distance plot and some auto-calculated values. So you ready to give this a try?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Have we cocked the bolt? We got a piece of brass here. Do not dry fire your Anschutz rifle.
Yeah, the 54 series, we don't want to dry fire those.
Yeah, we don't want that firing pin.
So we do have a spent piece of brass
Yep.
in the chamber. They make dry fire donuts. And there's a couple other methods you can use, but this is what we're doing today.
Yep. And don't fire live ammo in your shop with your trigger scan either. Here we go. Okay. That looks good. Test number 2. It's pretty consistent.
Yeah, if we look at that graph, it's a pretty small scale.
And test number 3. Nice. So you can see we're down here at basically 0.3 pounds. So that's near 4 ounce level, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty light. We haven't even pulled the trigger yet.
Just the trigger scan has. We didn't even get to do it.
That's right. We didn't want to dry fire it. We just got the brass situation figured out. So that looks absolutely outstanding. You can see that first stage building and then that second stage breaking real cleanly at a really low force, which I like. I'm used to light triggers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's try adjusting it a little bit and see what we do when we go up a little bit on that.
That's a good idea. All right, we'll be right back. Okay, so we increased the trigger pull weight. Why don't you talk through what you did there?
Flip it upside down. There is a set screw at the bottom there. I went 1.5 turns tighter.
Okay, and we don't know exactly how far that will take it.
Yeah.
Should we see?
It's going to increase the weight.
Yeah, let's see what happens. Okay, so I need to add another test here. We're just going to keep that other graph up there so that we can see the difference side by side. Okay, that definitely did something. You can see it on both the first stage and the second stage. Isn't that interesting? Let's do it again. You want to cycle the bolt there? And wow, look at that. Super consistent. We've gone from 0.3 to 0.35 ounces. And it'll go to 7.5 ounces on the high end. Yeah, look how consistent that is. Wow. Okay, so I'm going to take the scale, take the force range back down to, we can go to 0.4 and see everything here. Look at that.
I'm surprised that did not increase as much as I thought it would.
Yeah, so evidently we have quite a few more turns to get that bumped up into the 7.5 range. You can see how closely this is magnified. So this is so precise. We're essentially zoomed into the chart and we're still basically just about stacking lines, which means extremely consistent behavior. I can't wait to try it for real.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Okay, so that is what is up next. We'll see you guys at the range.
Time to shoot. The rifle's all set up. Here we are in the middle of the summer. I'm like Christmas time. Let's see what this guy can do. We grabbed some different types of ammo. We loaded up the side-by-side and headed out of the shop up the hill, and I'm so pumped.
So the cool thing about this mid-mountain range is Travis and I have been working a ton on this range. We've got power run up there. We've added a 50-yard range where we used to just have 100 yards. It's sheltered from the wind. It's sheltered from heat mirage. This is a great place to shoot.
It's awesome.
But I wasn't even there. So let's talk about what you did to get it on paper and to get some initial results.
First thing we did, we have a Sinclair bench rest. We put the bag rider on it and put it down on the bench rest because I'm going to zero this thing. I'm going to make it perfect, right?
This is the great thing about having a full-length ARCA rail built right into your fore end. This bag rider that I made is ARCA. You just slide it on, boom, goes right into the bench rest.
Speaking of the bag rider, I did add the XLR bag rider on the back here so we can get a good, nice, stable platform when we're shooting this thing on the bench.
Now it's time to go Anschutz with this thing. It's pretty awesome.
It was great. So we got on paper right off the bat, 50 yards, excellent shooting. It was very good. Sighted right in and tested a few different ammos. You'll see the results of those as we go through this. Then we went to the 100 yards. And
this is where things get real with rimfire, right?
Yeah, 100 yards at rimfire, you're like, oh, let's see what we can pull off here. You know, these guys are doing ELR stuff with the 22s, and you can get out there 500-600 yards pretty regularly. It's not easy. But even 100 yards, things tend to fall apart a little bit just because these rounds are going subsonic out of the barrel, tend to fall on their nose a little bit.
Yeah.
First time at 100 yards, first shots at 100 yards. Yeah, it was very, very cool. I was super impressed. And granted, this is off of a bench, but man.
But now we're talking about what is the ammo capable of and what is the rifle capable of, right?
Yeah.
When you get to positional shooting and a lot other type of shooting setup, then you're talking about the shooter and everything.
When you're shooting a rifle like this in a competition setting and you know that it can shoot that well at 100 yards, that brings another level of confidence to your game, and you really have the ability to shoot better, I think, just because it can do it. You know that it can do it.
Yeah, when you're just over half MOA at 100 yards with rimfire, you know you're really onto something good.
Yeah, it was a great combination with the Midas Plus and the Anschutz.
If you guys want to see more bench shooting, that's something that I want to explore further with rimfire, and we'll definitely get into that more. And of course, I've got my other bench rest rifle I'm working with now. Okay, so you're basically done at the mid-mountain range, and you motor up to the Ridgeline.
We went up to the Ridgeline.
Okay, and you just contributed a tank trap to the Ridgeline, which is awesome.
But first, before we came back
and
went to the Ridgeline, I had to run down and show Gavin that target because I was so pumped. It was pretty cool. I was like, whoa, look at this.
Meanwhile, I'm machining a bench rest stock on the milling machine. It takes me a moment to come out of my zone, and I'm like, really? Whoa.
It was cool.
That is some good stuff.
So we grabbed some water,
and
we headed back up to the Ridgeline. So we go past L1 and go up to the top of the ridge.
Now this is a place you want to hang out, trust me, right? Panoramic mountain views, micro cabin. We've got all of the tools and equipment. Now we've got a covered bench up there to shoot off of. 100 yards and beyond.
We call it the Ridgeline shooting, aka Shooter's Paradise. I don't know. It's pretty cool. So we got up there. We did several different types of shootings off a tripod, off the tank trap, on my belly. We were shooting steel from the DM Target set. They had their awesome rimfire spinner that they had. The thing is so fun to shoot.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, I love that thing. The KYL rack, it was cool. And this thing hit it all. It did really, really well. It was super fun, and we had a great time.
That is awesome. Okay, so next, let's talk about ammo and performance. So when it came to rimfire ammo, which is always particular, lots of ammo, SKUs of ammo, different rifles that like one SKU a lot and don't like the others. What was your kind of strategy here?
I took a few of the premium ammos that we have, Lapua Midas Plus, SK Long Range, and the R50. And I wanted to just run those three. I didn't want to get too carried away.
Sure.
We could do that at some other time. I was pretty impressed with all of them. They're all very consistent. The thing is, with a quality rifle like this, they tend to do better with all types of ammunition, and they'll get even better with certain ones. But it was very consistent with most ammunitions, and I was super happy with it.
Yeah, it's particularly impressive when you see just over a quarter MOA, right?
Yeah.
And this was shot at 50, right? So there's a little bit less time for it to, destabilize. I personally like to evaluate ammo at 50 because this is a good baseline, right?
Yep.
And then any of the further distances, you can kind of extrapolate from there. But, when you're seeing, I'm looking at these targets, and for the most part, the shots are either touching or very close to touching for multiple ammo SKUs at 50 yards. That's pretty awesome.
Well, half MOA at 100 yards?
Right. Super good performance. And you calculated what for velocity based on your drop?
What did I say? 1110? Yeah. 1110. It was dropping at 6.5 inches at 100 yards with the Midas Plus, which gives you 1.8 mils at 100 yards for our altitude.
Yeah, this kind of performance is going to definitely give you more confidence when it comes to getting on steel, staying on steel, dealing with adverse circumstances. There's just that much less to go wrong.
Yeah.
The other cool thing was this suppressor that you've got here.
Yeah, I love shooting suppressed 22s. It's very nice. Still a great idea to wear hearing protection, but it is super nice. Very, very pleasant to shoot.
Okay, what about the Cronus? That's the last thing.
Cronus on this rifle, what a combination, huh? It's a very good scope. It's repeatable. It dials down to that 25 yard that you might need for those close NRL 22 type matches. And then it's going to extend way out there too. It's got
29 power?
Yeah, 29 power. You can see those bullet holes. You can see that impact out there. It's very helpful to have a high quality scope on these. A lot of guys are running center fire quality scopes on their match 22s. We used to look at 22 scopes as poor quality, you know, everybody said they had 22 scope, but now most guys are running a real high quality scope on their 22 match rifles. Yeah,
with the zero stop and exposed turrets, one thing I would like to throw on there would be a lever of some sort.
Yeah.
Maybe MK Machine has something. I'd have to take a look, but that's the only thing that I thought of. And then I'd also probably add the sunshade.
Sunshade, yep.
Yep, very cool stuff. Really good handling rifle. We have this in the lowered position here, but the cheek rest is definitely good. Adjustable length of pull.
This is a very important thing to me, is to get your rifle to fit you. So you get a repeatable cheek weld. The rifle comes in the same position every single time. You're consistent on where you're holding your eye to the scope. It gives you much more accuracy time and time and time again, and it just really helps. So I'm a big proponent of adjustable cheek weld, the length of pull, so you can get that good 90-degree straight back trigger pull.
I love the grip. I absolutely love it. Just fits my hand well. And then I think, you know, for me, in summary, the trigger. You know, the trigger and the quality, the fit and finish. Love, of course, the XLR element as well. But, you know, that trigger, you just don't get off target is kind of how I feel. And I'm used to a light trigger. That's probably why I like it so much.
It's, you know me, my heart goes pitter-pat for two-stage triggers. But the Anschutz with my biathlon rifles, this is so similar to that, and the German engineering is so crisp, so clean. It's beautiful.
Okay, so let's talk real quickly about what's next. One of the things I'm thinking is definitely to push this out to further ranges, to look at some additional ammo SKUs, so that's like SK long range.
Well, definitely, we're gonna run some of the SK long range on it. After that, I'd like to maybe send, I don't know if you guys know about the Lapua testing.
Oh, yeah, right.
We'd like to send this down to Lapua. They're going to test it. They'll give us some lot numbers, and they'll find out what this thing really likes to have, and we'll see if we can improve on these groupings even.
Might be fun to try a tuner on it as well at some point. I mean, when we get it on the bench and we're really getting down and dirty testing ammo,
Yeah, I think that's the funny thing about this rifle, is this rifle will be a great rifle for the F-class 22 matches also, with the heavy barrel. I think there's going to be some guys that might be able to pull this on the F-class 22 matches and do very well with it. Not only the NRL PRS 22 matches, but just straight up bench rest. I bet you're going to do well.
Yeah. Okay, so here's what we want to know is, are you shooting an Anschutz rifle? Are you shooting in NRL 22? Do you have ideas about what we should do next with this rifle, this scope, any of this stuff? Please drop a comment and we will incorporate your feedback into our ideas list. Thank you very much for watching. That concludes this video, and that means it's time to wrap it up. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. Also, make your voice heard. If you have something to say, please drop a comment. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications, because you're not going to want to miss the awesome content that is coming up. And finally, flex your reloading pride. You could look great in one of these t-shirts. We've got multiple designs at the Ultimate Reloader store. I'll see you later, because I'm off to go shooting.